because she's dating a black guy.
Okay, well, if they would expel everybody in this school, I think they would have to close the school doors and go home
Well, yeah.
because you do have a serious problem. Now, I'm very serious about this. We want that young lady in school. We want that young lady back in school. Now, nobody's scared of the people out at Putnam City West because what we are going to do on Monday will be to contact the school, and we will do what else that needs to be done. Now, as far as these young people, I don't want them cutting any classes. Now, we cannot afford we cannot afford to allow kids to cut classes.
No.
Okay, we can afford that. So we're going to have to tell these young people, we want you back in school, but I'm not going to interfere with any love affair because I know so many students in my classes in my years of teaching have fallen in love. And I would like to salute Miss Wilma Parker and Willie Lee Wooten, who fell in love in the 7th grade, and they are still in love. Willie Wooten has put her in the most beautiful home in Midwest City. That girl has never had to go out and work. I think love is wonderful. And if you can fall in love in high school and stay in love, you're really great. And this is what we will do, Mrs. Price. I promise you we will not let these young people down.
Yes, because we have so many children that don't want to go to school and won't go to school that just drops out. But we have children that's trying to go to school, and because they like another person of a different race, then they're going to get expelled. I just don't understand this. I don't see it.
Well, for those of you that do not believe in interracial courting, let me tell you something so you'll know something. Anything God did not want to make, he made it biologically impossible. Now, I want you to remember that, and you can't go around and regulate who's going to love who. I know a lot of white people fall in love with whites and don't care nothing about it. And I know a lot of black people don't care nothing about it. Now, Mrs. Hunter, does that get the cake?
Well, yeah, but I'm on that. What are you talking about? God made it biologically impossible.
Have you ever seen an ant and an elephant having an intercourse?
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Luper. Now I understand.
Okay. Now, Mrs. Hunter, are you ready to go to Putnam City West?
No.
Oh, you aren't going.
What am I going out there for?
You're going out there because this young lady has been dismissed from school because she was walking down the hall with a black man.
Now, when it comes time for us to address a subject, and we get the complaint, then we do go.
Okay, well, we're on our way. Putnam City West, here we come. This is the Clara Luper Radio Show, and today's show is being brought to you by Behold the Walls by Clara Luper. And here we have the special announcement.
Garden Grocery would like to let you know that he has 3 specials on for you. And I know you're getting ready to buy some kind of meat for your dinner. So go out to Garden's Grocery, and let me give you that number, and you can call him. And his telephone number is 685-7027. He has pork steaks, 99 cents a pound. He has a pork roast, yum, 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 99 cents a pound. And he has Wilson's certified bacon, 1 pound for just 89 cents. Go out there and get you some bacon for breakfast in the morning and pick up that roast, good old pot roast, that pork pot roast, and have yourself a roast for dinner and this bacon for breakfast. This is some Garden's Grocery. And back to Clara.
Thank you. Certainly, I know those of you that live in the Putnam City West area is ashamed to be associated that is happening in your community. But shame is not enough. Those of you remember what happens to one, what happens to others. Now, I know you're going to be calling me, telling me you aren't for interracial dating. Well, you must be crazy. Don't you know there's no way in the world you can keep interracial people from dating each other? What's the difference? You tell me that. What's the difference? Now, if you are down there thinking that, you can't even find nobody of any race to date you. Come on and join me, and let's go to town and let's correct some of the inequities within our society. Those of you, after I've said what I have said, that would like to help in building this Black History Monument, be sure and send us your donation, and I would certainly like to recognize donations that have come in and thank Miss Richmond down in Wewoka, Oklahoma. Miss Richmond, you wrote me the nicest letter. I shall always cherish it. And now for Clara Fuller up in Kansas City, Missouri, I want to thank you. I want to thank Mr. James Frederick and all of you that are working. I'm going by Easton's and pick up his envelopes, and those of you that want an envelope so you can help build this monument, all you have to do is call us. Our office number is 424-2348. And we would like to thank those elementary principals that met with us last week. They gave us more ideas of what we can do to help what we can do to help them, and we gave them ideas of what they could do to help us. And the main thing, we want people to know our history, whether you're black or whether you're white or polka dot. Letty, tell me more about this meeting this evening.
Well, I'm saying that we're going to have a privilege to come out and meet with the board member and discuss some of the grievances that we have and ask some questions about some concerns that we have about our schools. So this is the first time that I have been able to experience this kind of thing coming from a board member. And I'm happy that she was interested enough for us to have a meeting. And I don't know where she's found the time to set from 4 to 6. The meeting will be at St. John's Baptist Church. So come on out from 4 to 6 and see what Mrs. Parks has to tell us, and then bring your questions. I want you to bring your questions and ask Mrs. Parks your questions. Now, all those that you've been asking me. Now, Ms. Parks is there, and she can answer them for you because I'm too far away from the board to answer them for you. Now, come on out and bring your questions with you, and she will be ready for you from 4 to 6, and this is at St. John's Baptist Church.
This is the Clara Luper radio show, and certainly our eyes are on Tuesday. Are you going to say like the slaves did a long time ago, yes, sir, Mr. Boss, we're going to vote for the bond issue because you told us that it will stop crime within the community. I tell you what it will do, it will kill the businesses in the school area, and therefore who will be paying the high tax? But this week, for the past 3 weeks, you have been calling me, asking me about what was happening at Tinkerfield Credit Union. Let me tell you what I did. I like to go to the source. I called the president of the Tinkerfield Credit Union, the chairman of the board of directors. I didn't call the president, I called the chairman of the board of directors. And that person's name is Mrs. Norman Moore. And I said, Mrs. Moore, we have some questions that we would like to ask you. Well, Mrs. Moore gave me a delaying tactic and did not respond. And certainly that insulted me as a news reporter, because I feel that since I'm a member of the Tinker Credit Union and you are a member, you should know exactly what's happening there. Now, there were some questions that I wanted to ask Mrs. Moore. And after she refused to come out because of her busy schedule, and I know all of us are busy, but she's not too busy to be the chairman of the board, and therefore she should have some time to come out and answer questions that the public would like to know. Well, what the public really want to know about the Tinkerfield Credit Union is what's happening out there. Did you know they're having an investigation of that credit union? Did you know that Dean Hellberg is no longer a part of the board of directors at Tinkerfield Credit Union? And then on another radio station, I heard that Dean Hellberg resigned because he broke the code of ethics. Now, that's a new thing for me, and I want to know, what is a code of ethics at Tinker Credit Union? And did any of the board members vote to keep him despite the fact that he had broken the code of ethics? I wanted to know who were the board of directors that voted to let him go, and who were the board members that voted to keep him. I wanted to know whether or not it is true that the Tinkerfield Credit Committee is no longer meeting with members of the credit union to help make loans to the members. If you do not do a job as a member of the committee, how can you be on the committee? Is it true that the regulators have been very discouraged with the action of some of the board of directors and have stated their displeasure with the board of directors on different occasions? I wonder if Mrs. Moore will answer the questions, or shall we call the regulators with these concerns? Or as members of the board, as members of the Tinker Credit Union, I think you can go out and read the minutes. So maybe if I can't get Miss Moore, I will have to go out and get the minutes and read them so you will know what's happening. Now, the question, it seems to me, is, do the board of directors really have the interests of the members at heart? If so, then why don't they give the members the information? I want to know, will these questions come up at the annual meeting of the board of directors? Now, these are direct questions, and they are to the point. is Tinkerfield Credit Union under a letter of memorandum from the regulators? What does it all mean? Now, we heard Jerry Bourne on KTOK make a report, and we understand that KTOK, too, is doing an investigation of the situation at Tinker Credit Union. Now, I want you to know, now, I'm not talking about the union itself. I'm talking about the people that run the union, the board of directors, of which the Honorable Mrs. Moore is the chairperson. The Tinker Credit Union. That's what I'm talking about, the board of directors of the Tinker Credit Union. Now, I talked to Mrs. Moore last night, and she did say that she could come out early this morning and tape, but I had to be in Tulsa. She said she couldn't be with me next week, nor the next week. Now, the question is, when can she be? Not with Clara Luper, but with you, the thousands of members of the credit union that are out there and would like to know exactly what's happening. Letty, you're a member of the credit union. Do you know anything? Do you have any information?
Now, Miss Luper, you know I can't answer those questions because I don't know anything about that.
Okay, well,
And I didn't know that you. When did you call Miss Moore? You said I didn't know you called Miss Moore to come out here to be on this program.
well, I called Mrs. Moore some 2 or 3 weeks ago because the people had called me and they wanted information. And that's what the news reporters are supposed to do. We are supposed to find information to people, but we cannot get the correct information until we get directly to the people that run the organization. Now, I didn't want to talk to any of the paid staff because naturally they would do like some of the teachers in Oklahoma City. They would say what the Board of Education wants them to say. They will do that. So I wanted to talk to the source. I wanted to go directly to the source.
Well, I really didn't know anything was happening, Mrs. Luper, until I heard it on KTOK, and Jerry Bowling said that he was the person that was making that announcement. And then when I went and picked up my paper, the Journal of Records, I read it again in the Journal of
It's
Records.
in the Journal of Records?
Yes, it is.
I noticed it. I noticed, lady, I haven't read it in the Daily Oklahoman.
Well, now, I have not read it in the Daily Oklahoman myself. But, you know, being in school, I'm sure you used to take that paper all the time. I don't know if you still continue taking the Journal of Records since you're not in the history class any longer. But I still pick up the Journal of Records because I got in the custom of reading it, and I still read it. And I was surprised to know that that article was there. And I'm definitely surprised to find out that you have called Tinker Credit Union's board's chairman, Mrs. Norma Moore. And I'm more than surprised as for her to say she could not come.
Oh, she's busy. She's too busy. I've heard that old busy song so much until I can recite it anytime. I know how busy she is, but I want you, the public, to demand that she comes on this program and explain to you exactly. You may call me at 478-2103. Now, some of you people want to know. And when you want to know something, you don't get it from one person. You go out and you dig it out yourself. And I want you to remember that Clara Luper, your news reporter, called the Tinkerfield Credit Union's chairperson, Mrs. Moore, and asked her to come here today and let you know what was happening out to Tinkerfield's Credit Union. I need to know, and you need to know, so you can be intelligent on that issue. Certainly, when we talk about the future, we know that the future depends on the past. And we are on our way now to build a Black History Monument. Now, some of you have called me and you have complained. You said, I'm always asking people for something. Why don't you ask somebody for something? Why are you talking about me because I'm asking somebody for something? Why don't you ask people to do something for you? Maybe they will, because the people are really responding to me. Mrs. Richmond, I told you, down in Wewoka, Oklahoma, Samuel Dewberry in Dale City, Devada K. Thompson, Helen Dean, Etta J. Davis, Johnny A. Davis, Ken Rowland, Marva Crawford, Herbert Keith, Robert Lee and his lovely wife, Rosie Lee Jackson, Bob Richter, John Williams, Almeda Codwell, Cortona L. Wilkins, Ruth Sanders, Odessa Dunlap, Darlene McLeod, Major Harris, Leonard Dokes, Ken Germany, Terrell Harpy, Chris Fowler. I could go on down the line. Now, we have a large book that's called the Freedom Center book. In this book, we want your name and the amount you gave. You may give a penny if you're a penny-thinking person. You may give a nickel, a dime, 25, 50, $1, And you may even give 5. You might want to give 10. It doesn't make any difference. You might give 25. And you might do like some of the people whose names I've called that have given $100. And if you want to see what we have done with your money, come to Freedom Center, 2609 North Martin Luther King, and look for yourself. Did you realize that's the only building on the east side of Oklahoma City that's paid for by you? It's a paid-for building. Everything in there is paid for. Now, the money that we need is just some money to pave it, to get it paved next week. And I would like for you to come from every direction. We have contacted the churches because we know that the churches have always been interested in the development of people. And we ask you and your churches to give us a donation. We don't care about how large it is. We want your names down. Just think, if Reverend Perry, who was a former pastor of, will, like other people, be just a memory. But I want you to care so much about the contribution that blacks and whites have given to the great cause of liberty that you will go down in your pockets and make a donation. You may write us, and those of you out of town, the address is Freedom Center, Post Office Box 11106. The area code is 73111. I hope next week that I can tell you that the paving is getting ready to start. We are ready to start paving, and after we pave it, the monument will be going up. Lady, how do you feel about everything?
Oh, Mrs. Luper, it's really looking beautiful, and if they have not been by the Freedom Center at 2609 Dr. Martin Luther King, come by and look at the building and see what you think of it. I think it's marvelous because of the energies that the youth put into it. So come by 2609 Martin Luther King and see the Freedom Center.
I received Mrs. Theodosia Crawford's picture, one of the ones that has made Oklahoma City a better place in which to live. Although she sleeps now in yonder soil, her memories will continue to live because Theodosia Crawford took the NACP and led it to a new height, as was evident as she received the top award for the NACP from the national office. Lillian Oliver's picture will be there. Irene Drake's picture will be there. I want you to come by, and I want you to look at the people that we have and what they have done. I don't want you to grow up to be like a hog or a pig. Maybe that's one thing I didn't like about Hoffman, Oklahoma, because I would feed my daddy's pigs, and when they get through eating, they wouldn't even look up to say thank you. And I don't want to be in a class where people like A. Willie James, Theodosia Crawford, and others have given their lives in this struggle, and now I won't say thanks by helping to build a monument in their interest. Now, some of you have asked me, say, Clara, who else's picture will be on that? Naturally, Reverend Sykes' picture will be there. Natural Iron Ruby Hall, who certainly have made a contribution as they were thrown out of their house because they dared to move across a certain street. Reverend W.B. Parker has earned his right. Reverend W.K. Jackson has earned it. Ira Holmes, the unsung hero of the whole freedom movement, who has served as secretary of the NACP for years, which means long hours all by herself, getting out reports to the national office. A. Vicenio Johnson, who was denied the right of an education because he stood up for freedom. Oh, you need to talk to A. Vicenio Johnson and let him relate to you what happened to him. There are others, and their stories will be told in years to come. The stories of men and women that were willing to fight and die for freedom. Now, some of you big shots, some of you high-paid salaried people that can go anywhere and eat and do anything, I want you to take time out and support it. And I'm particularly interested in looking for your names. Some of your names I have looked for during the sit-in movement. Your names were not there. But on this Black History Monument, I expect your name to be there. If your name is not there, I don't think you are proud of your own history. In the closing minutes, I'm going to tell you that we are in trouble, and I'll appeal to the black men in Oklahoma City. They say in the next 11 years, 1/4 of all black men will be in prison. They say that 1/4 of all black men will be dead. Listen at that fiddle. I want you to listen at it because I want you to remember it. Therefore, I want the little black boys, the little black babies who will grow into toddlers, who will grow into young men, and who will finally grow into adults. I want you to listen to me today because we need you so badly. You're so handsome. You are our dreams, and you are all we have. We don't own any airplanes. We don't own any oil wells. We have no banks, but all we have is our young people. And to you young men, some will tell you drugs are good for you, but look what it has done to us. It has cut down many of our young people. It's killed their dreams, and it has destroyed their parents. Many parents that used to own property don't own the property anymore because they've had to get you out of jail. My appeal is to you. And I want you young people to call me this week at 424-2384 and tell me you're going to join this bandwagon. That you're not going to join a gang that can only lead you to death. You're not going to sell drugs because you will never get any Social Security from that. You're not going to sell drugs because who cares about a diamond ring and gold and all of that? That's clothes and cars and things don't make you. But there's a day coming when character really counts. This is Clara Luper on our way to help build the Black History Monument, and who are you?
I'm Lady Ruth Hunter, and I'm on my way also, and we'll be seeing you at 2609 Dr. Martin Luther King's Avenue.
And for all of you churches, report to us tomorrow. Let's see how we're doing with the churches, and we will let you, the public, know next week. This is Clara Luper saying, whatever you do and wherever you go, just remember to go to the polls. And if you want some fences, you go vote for you some fences, but I want some books, and therefore I'm going to vote for books, and that would be no. Bye-bye. I do love you.